What's going on, guys? Josh here from Momentum Productions, and today I'm going to teach you how to get the most stable footage out of your gimbal. Today we're specifically going to be referring back to the Joon Crane 3 Lab gimbal. If you want to learn more about this gimbal, go ahead and check out my list of videos for this gimbal right here. I'll also leave a link for this gimbal in the description box below, so make sure you check it out. First off, I'm going to teach you how to properly grip the gimbal. You're not going to get stable footage if you don't know how to grip it. Take a look at this gimbal. You have multiple different gripping points here. You have one handle up here, and you have the tripod at the bottom here. With this type of gimbal, with this type of form factor, you need to use both hands. If you use one hand here, you're going to end up shaking down here. If you use one hand up here, you're going to end up shaking up here. So you want to be as stable as possible. So one hand up here, one hand at the bottom, and if you notice there's a little cutout here for your forefinger, make sure you take full advantage of it because it's going to help you out stabilize your footage. So here you go, one grip down here, one grip up here. Next up is form. How should you overall handle this gimbal? I always like to tuck my elbows in and to keep my chest flexed with a strong flex back as well, and your abs. You have to use muscle here, otherwise you're not going to get the stability that you want. So elbows in, chest flexed, abs slightly flexed as well, and specifically for accurate pans and turns, this is where you are going to really succeed and really notice the difference between just using the gimbal or properly using the gimbal. It's all in the technique, so make sure you use your elbows, use your shoulders, your abs, your back, make sure everything is nice and tight. If you're loosey-goosey like this with your elbows flaring out and you don't have proper form in your back, in your abs, in your chest, you're gonna see a lot more inconsistencies in your shots. So make sure that everything is nice and tight and nice and strong, and you're gonna get those nice, subtle pans. The key word is nice here, right? So yeah, make sure everything is flexed. Form is everything. Now let's talk about the walk. I know many of you who are new to gimbals never heard of the Gimbal Ninja Walk, and some of you watching this video already know what the Gimbal Ninja Walk is. Well, here's the thing, even though you know what it is, the technique is constantly improving. I'm learning completely different ways on how to get even more stable footage each month. So that's why I keep making new gimbal stability videos for you guys. So right now we're gonna cover just the basics. You want to keep your knees slightly bent and use the heel to toe method. The trick here is to never rush the shot. Always take your time. You rush the shot, you risk of ruining the shot. So knees slightly bent, heel to toe. Start off slow and start picking up the pace. If you need to start running, you want to continue using the same method. Knees slightly bent, heel to toe. Now, as I mentioned before, you want to maintain a very strong back. The strong back, when it's flexed, it can give you extreme stability. Now, the rest of the body, as I mentioned earlier, while you're walking, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, which is why you need to constantly practice. Keep everything flexed and tight and strong. This is much like lifting weights at the gym. You have to build up your arm strength, your chest strength, your abs, and your back. So that's why I do recommend working out at least 20 minutes a day for 3 to 4 times a week, just so you get your arm strength, chest, abs, and back strength, and even your legs. Legs are very important. So if you want me to actually create some tutorials on my favorite workouts, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll create a custom workout program for filmmakers. So that'll be very exciting to see. Along with keeping a strong body, you also want to maintain breathing. Now, when you are using gimbals, it's important to understand that when you breathe, your whole body expands, and that actually loosens up your body and your gimbal work doesn't become as stable as it should be. Breathing plays a huge part. So if you are trying to maintain stability throughout a shot, either take a large breath in and hold it, or just take very small breaths during the shot and keep that consistency in your breathing. Otherwise, you're just not gonna get that stability that you want. Now, another part about walking is walking backwards. When you're walking backwards, when you're tracking a subject in the front, you are going to end up walking backwards. Now, not only will you need a spotter to help you out, to guide you so you don't fall off a cliff or something like that, you also want to reverse the process of heel to toe. So instead of going heel to toe, you are going to be going toe to heel. And look at my feet as I do it. I don't just go boom, boom. I go smooth. I slightly arch my feet, heel to toe or toe to heel. So keep that in mind. Next, I want to cover some of my favorite gimbal shots that I've shot over the last couple of years. Now, they involved certain techniques, but these are the types of techniques that you can really get started on practicing immediately. So here's one shot that I took on my trip to New Zealand. This is of a cruise ship. This was shot with the GIMBAL Lab gimbal, but it has a very similar form of the Crane 3 Lab. So basically, I was holding my gimbal over people like this. Yes, there were 3 people under me and I was just leaning over them like this. Never hold the gimbal with one hand like that, because not only is it not going to be that stable, but it's also very dangerous. You can easily lose control of the gimbal, especially if you don't have that arm strength. So always use 2 hands. So I held out the gimbal like this, I locked out my shoulders, I kept a slight bend in my elbows, and I was able to slightly track the ship as the boat that I was on was moving around it. And I was able to slightly add that pan. And here you can notice I'm actually leaning with my legs. I love to lean. Leaning is a really nice cheat move in how to get those stable sliding or dolly shots. Now we're looking at the shot that was done in New Zealand in a jungle. And what I did is I positioned the camera up like that. And when you're in pan follow mode, you can actually do this on both the Crane 3 Lab and the GIMBAL Lab. So you can just hand position it like that. So I hand positioned it, I held my gimbal up like this, and I slowly moved down. Notice how my shoulders are locked, but my elbows are slightly bent, and I'm keeping very consistent movement. So my right arm is on the handle here, and it's in charge of guiding the gimbal. My lower hand here that's on the tripod is responsible for consistency. So it's making sure that my hand up here doesn't mess up the shot. So I slowly go down just like that. Here's a profile shot of me doing that. Boom, just like that. This is something that takes practice. So do this at least 30 minutes every day and you'll get the hang of it. Now, another one of my favorite shots is the POV shot. Now, POV allows us to be more involved in the shot. For example, for your viewers especially, they're gonna see a more immersive experience because you're gonna get that 45-degree angle roll. I love these kinds of shots. Now, to access POV, go ahead and press the POV button on the side of the handle on the Crane 3 Lab. Now, as you move the gimbal to the right or move it to the left like this, the camera will follow that movement, and you can just do so much with this type of shot. So here's a shot that I've done on a moving train, and you can just see how cool it looks. Now, first off, you do need a foreground in order to see that movement. So choose a foreground and try to have your camera move in between that foreground. And what I mean by that is maybe try finding some rails or something that you can put your camera inside of and then slowly move out of. And add that POV movement into the shot and you're gonna see a major difference. Now, to execute this shot properly, you wanna keep your body strong, as I mentioned earlier. Elbows in, elbows slightly bent, shoulders tight, chest flexed, abs flexed, and a strong back. Now, with the POV shot, you actually want to move with the camera. Believe it or not, you're gonna get a more stable shot. You want to move with the camera. Very important. Just like with anything in life, this does take a lot of practice. At least 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week, you'll get it within a month or 2. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a like and subscribe with those notifications turned on. Peace.